Just give me that ID whenever you're ready. But so
I think that's it. I think.
if it's not, then we'll fix it.
Yeah.
So all I'm gonna do this session, I'm gonna take a slightly different approach. At least, like it's gonna be a similar approach, but I'm gonna make sure that the message I want you to receive is that you are asking yourself the right questions on support at all times. Okay? So throughout this session, I'm going to be going over a ton of questions that you should be asking yourself at any stage in the game, whether that's the draft or whatever. And that's what you should really try to take away from this session. It's just like when I'm in a game, what questions need to be answered? And if you answer those questions correctly as a support, you'll just do the right things, build the right items, start in the right lane, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
So, first and foremost, when I'm a support, I think, what lane do I have the most impact? So I look at their lanes and I go, probably sniper mid, probably like axe, bounty hunter, axe pudge top, and a monkey king bottom. That seems reasonable, right? So what lane? Obviously, you're a 5, so you're going to start top. That's just how Dota works. Like, but it is actually the correct lane in this game. Just so happens. So if that's the correct lane, that's the first and foremost thing we have to ask ourselves. What's the lane that I have the most impact? If you like look at their heroes and you look at your own and you go, wow, I could actually do way better against their carry, then that would be a situation where you'd lane bottom and have your 4 position lane top. Is that always going to happen in your games? Probably not,
No.
but it's worth trying.
Is there a way I can view your viewing?
Yes, I haven't even... That's something I usually remember. I'm just stupid. Okay, there you go. It's shared screen. I only forgot,
okay, thank you.
I only forgot once today out of 2. So, okay. So, first and foremost, like I said, establish what lane you want to be in. Secondly, what kind of items do I need in order to lane this? So, why, in my opinion, do you think clarities would be... Like, 3 clarities would be a bit much against these heroes?
Probably don't need that much mana regen.
It's not that you don't need that much mana regen. Why would clarities be bad against a hero like Bounty Hunter or Axe?
Oh, because they can just pop it.
Yeah, they can just break it with Battle Hunger from super long range, or just out of Invis. So, super bad, right? Like, maybe 1 clarity. When would I ever clarity in this type of lane?
Anyone here know what a dead lane is?
If they're dead?
When I'm pulling? Or when they're dead?
Yeah.
So, 1 clarity seems reasonable, right? So, what should the other 2 things be?
Sentry.
Yeah, Sentry, 2 mangoes maybe? Like, if you think you need mana regen, then it needs to be a mango. Because you ain't getting the clarity off. Like, it just ain't happening, right? Like, that's something where it's like, what's this lane gonna look like? Like, you know, you have to think to yourself what items I can actually use in the lane. So I don't mind a salve, but then I don't think I need... Okay, so I view it this way. Absolutely need a Sentry, like 90% of games in the safe lane, even if they don't have an Invis hero, because your impact on the lane is directly related to having pulls or not. Like, I feel like if I'm a support player and I don't have a pull camp, half of the lanes I'm just, like, absolutely useless. I don't even know what to do anymore, because, like, there's times where I need to pull and I can't. And I'm just like, what the fuck do I do now? Like, that's literally what I ask myself. So if my game's that much harder because I didn't buy a Sentry at the start, I feel like I would just prefer to buy a Sentry. But I look at their lane and I go, they have a lot of harass damage, a lot of kill potential on me. So I definitely think regen's important. I probably wouldn't even go 1 clarity just because I need a Sentry, and I probably want 2 mangoes on top of it. So I probably would have gone like Tango Salve, double mango, ward Sentry. That's probably what I would have done here, based on the gold we have. So that's first and foremost. Going into the lanes with the right items is very important. And asking yourself what the lane's going to look like. It's just as important on a support hero as it is on a core. So, like, I would be in this game, and if I was your Jug, I'd literally say, what the fuck, no Sentry, Jakiro, what are you doing? Okay, moving on. Because it seems really obvious, right? Like, on paper. But these, my main emphasis is, like, think about what the lane's going to look like and how you approach the lane. And these things, you already realize you need a Sentry. Are you Are you going to be right about how to approach a lane and what items to buy all the time?
I'm sorry, what? I'm sorry.
If you make an educated guess about how to approach the lane, what items to buy and such, are you going to be right all the time?
No.
No. But that's the only way to get better. That's what I emphasize. I say that every coaching session, literally every single time. Are you going to be right all the time? No. Okay, but you need to try. Like, you need to go for it. Because if you're not analyzing the game that way, even in 3K, you're just going to improve drastically slower than if you are. Like, it's just called, it's just critical thinking. That's all it is. And that's what Dota is, in my opinion. My opinion is what makes you good at Dota is your ability to think critically. Okay.
The only reason I actually went to purchase that sentry is because I saw Axe place an observer ward.
So why should you have a sentry ward as a safe lane support every single fucking game, regardless of them having an Invis hero, right? Like, that's what I said that. I didn't even say, like, the bounty hunter makes it even more important, right? But, like, how often in 3K is the offlaner going to walk into your face and place a ward?
Yeah.
You might as well punish it, right? Like, you might as well be able to do something about it. Okay. So this is fine.
Beach sticks.
Yeah. Unfortunate, but that's life. Okay. Clean here. Get the sentry. Okay. Oops. I knew I accidentally pushed that right when I pushed it. So.
Yeah, they started random pausing here. Don't know why.
At level 1, does Axe Bounty Hunter kill you full to 0?
If he had skilled the Battle Hunger, I think so.
You do? You think they kill you full to 0 if you're standing, like, right here?
No.
And when would I say... Okay, so what does this salve actually allow you to do as a support, if you think about it?
Just back out and then heal up?
Yeah, and it allows you to make one mistake like that.
Yeah.
Not only does it allow you to make one mistake, but it also allows you to play aggressively, but make them punish you once. Does that make sense, too? Like,
yeah.
It isn't actually a mistake if you're playing the lane aggressively the entire time, and then they go on you, you lose 2/3 of your health, and you salve up. I wouldn't even consider that a mistake. If you have a salve, it actually enables you to play hyper-aggressive as long as they can't kill you. Right? Like, as long as they can't kill you full to 0, I can play aggressive all I want. You'll see pro players make decisions based on whether or not they have a salve. Like, that's how important a salve is to your decision-making. So my question is, like I said, okay, so my point is, like, when you're 3K, right, you may not know exact numbers or exact capabilities, but if it's close, go for the more aggressive route, okay, in any circumstance. So, like, if I asked you in this circumstance, can Bounty Hunter or Axe kill me from full to 0? And if you're like, I don't know, I think so, but I'm not sure, play like you think they can't. Okay? Like, that's how, because how else are you going to learn whether or not they can, right?
Yeah.
Because if you're just playing like a pussy the whole time, like, you're just never going to know. So if you think it's, like, not even close, obviously don't do it. But, like, if you think it's really close, then you need to do it. My point is, if I'm this Jug, I'm thinking to myself, can this Jakiro just walk past the damn creep wave and breathe fire this Axe? Like, why is he behind me? You know? Like, why is my Jakiro on top of the creep wave with me? If I were you right now, I would walk into these trees because I know Axe is over there somewhere. How do I know Axe is over here?
He's not on the left or right.
He's not here. He's not here. Yeah. He's got to be somewhere over here. So I'm just going to walk there and find him and then hunt him, basically. Let's see here. So, what's the most important thing in this patch? In the lane stage. What?
Denies and lane equilibrium.
Okay, you already said it.
Oh, denies.
Okay. What's your job as a support?
Denying.
Laning stage. Okay.
Or preventing the enemy carry from farming.
Okay. It's to get more denies than the other guy. Okay? So if my two options of support in this patch are this. Sit here denying or force the guy away so that my carry can deny. Those are the two choices. Is any amount of harass you can do to this guy worth missing this deny on the range creep level 1?
No.
Okay, good talk. What should you do right now?
Pull?
Okay.
Yeah. And, yeah.
As long as you know now.
Yeah.
I can't say anything else in the game. What did I say to that last guy? You said you were watching the whole session. What do you do after a kill?
Oh, you immediately start denying.
You think about what needs to be done
can.
with the whatever on the map. In the mid-game,
Yeah.
objectives, lane creep pushing. Right now, you care about lane equilibrium, denying creeps, resetting when he comes back. Most importantly, lane equilibrium and what happens when he comes back. Being prepared for when he comes back, right?
Yeah.
So, the minute that kill happens... Those questions should be asked to yourself. So what are some great indicators for that you can look at to help you make your decision?
If the wave's a little too far up there.
Okay,
or...
that's one.
Yeah.
What else matters with pulls?
Oh, the time.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
How long do you have to get there?
Yeah. When creep spawn.
How long? What time do you have to be at the small camp?
I don't remember.
It's fine if you don't know. You can just say you don't know.
I don't know.
143. You have to be there to pull. 144 maybe.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'll get it right just by visual when I know, but it's one of those two. So then the next step is to get a real good feel for how long it takes this specific hero to get from there to there.
Okay.
So why would it matter to me if it takes 10 seconds to walk over there, why is that such a big deal? That I know it's exactly 10 seconds.
It knows I can sit there and deny for a few more
Boom!
seconds.
You're nailing it! Cool. Now actually putting that into practice is the next step.
Yeah.
Obviously bad positioning, not much else to say about that. But none of this should even be happening. Right?
Right.
If you get a kill on the enemy offlaner at 127 and you walk over and pull immediately, or you deny a creep and then walk over and pull, you're better than my supports already in 6K. It's so simple. Okay? Like, I'm not trying to say that in like a condescending way to yourself. If I bring that up to you every time you get a kill, look at the timer and look at the lane equilibrium and go pull accordingly, that's not complicated. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's not something, that's not rocket science. It's literally like, look at the timer and look at the lane equilibrium. Go pull! You're better than my 6K supports. Okay, moving on. I'm telling you, like, and the point is, to me, what blows my mind about supporting in the safe lane is it just takes knowledge of lane equilibrium and timings. That's all it is. Like, and like, you'll pull properly. Like, obviously there's more to it than just that in lanes. But you'll pull properly. People never pull properly in my bracket. I mean, like, if people pull properly, I'm like, wow! The guy pulled! It's always so impressive when they pull. And, like, all of this right here, I'm just going to fast forward, because it's 127, this lane should not be here anymore. This has been three minutes of this lane equilibrium ruined by your one mistake. Yeah. This mistake could have been fixed later by just walking over and pulling. At any point, by the way. You've had 3 minutes to recognize that this lane is not where it should be and should be pulled. What is the effect of you making this mistake?
Axe gets levels, Judd
look at your levels, look at his levels. He's 1 against 2, and he's winning.
Yeah.
Yeah, his CS is 6 compared to 25, but he's higher level. Is Axe's farm accelerated by items or levels?
Levels.
Mainly levels, right, in the early game. Yeah, he does need farm eventually, but if he gets level 5, he can just kill creeps real fast anyways.
Yeah, spin to win.
Yeah, so I'm just trying to emphasize to you and everyone else how important very little things are. Lane equilibrium, pulling, creep aggro. It all adds up so quickly. This guy's level 4 in a lane that he's getting obliterated in CS. He should actually be level 2 right now, I think. Luckily, you gave him more levels just to kill him for more XP later. Thinking, or sweet smart. Still have not pulled. It's funny to me that you answered correctly about what you should do right there, and then you haven't pulled.
Yeah.
It's really funny.
Sometimes, I don't know, just the hindsight of it.
Yeah.
I realized to pull, but then other times in the games, I'm just like, thinking kills are more important than they're not.
Just remember to ask yourself after a kill, and ask yourself constantly, every time creeps meet, okay? Every time creeps meet, this can be something you write down to yourself or whatever. Every time the creeps meet, are you okay with where the lane is? Are you okay? If you are 2v2, how important is lane equilibrium?
Everything.
It's not very important in a 2v2.
Oh wait, 2v2?
If you're 2v1, how important is lane equilibrium?
Yeah, everything.
Everything. Yeah. It is everything. It literally is how you win or lose the lane. It's not even close. There's nothing else that decides who wins the lane when it's 2v1. So if this axe is level 2, or say he's level 3 right now, and you have a ward here, for instance, and the lane's here, where my mouse is.
Okay.
What is that? What did they do to you?
Yeah, I don't know.
Nothing. Like, all of this stuff that's going wrong right now is not pulling at 127. Or for the subsequent 3 minutes afterwards that you could have pulled at any point to reset the lane equilibrium. It's lack of knowledge of lane equilibrium and its importance is what's costing you this entire lane. This lane did not go well, by the way. Like, I want to be very clear that this, compared to this, does not mean this lane went well. You 2v1'd, and Axe is level 6 at 7.5.
Yeah, that's...
In the current patch, if properly executed, unless your lane is like Spectre, not even Spectre, Alchemist plus Wyvern, like the weakest possible save that I could come up with, a 2v1 should be a slaughter. Like, it should be a slaughter. Like, I should be level 8, and the offlaner's level 4. That's what it should look like in a 2v1. In this patch. And that's why dual lanes are the only way to lane. So, if you're in a bracket where people are dumb enough to put an axe solo offlane, please, for the love of God, make him level 3 at 8 minutes.
Yeah.
And that's done by lane equilibrium. So, it's fine that you went for that one kill, right? It's fine. Because, like, I don't want you to play like a pussy just to keep lane equilibrium. But, if you're going to get the kill, then you need to reset the lane equilibrium properly. Okay, so now you're rotating mid. At least your Jug is, like, self-sufficient because Axe isn't pressuring him. He's just jungling. If this Axe was any good, he'd know Jug doesn't have spin, and he'd actually, like, play the lane.
Yeah, I was going to say, he didn't even get a single point in Battle Hunger till, like,
Yeah, so... Like, just think about all the obvious mistakes your opponents are making, so if you do these little things properly, how easy these games will be. So we're moving on. So now you're smoking. Is this to get a ward? It is to get a ward. Okay, it is. I don't mind that, to get a ward. I don't actually mind that smoke. Okay, fine. Recognize the most vulnerable hero on their team. Why does your Jug die there?
Yeah, who's that? Can't remember who else. Or the BH came and just...
But in reality, why did he die there?
Because I wasn't there?
Because you didn't pull at a minute 27 in the game.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not trying to be a smartass. I'm actually just...
No, I know.
If you pulled at a minute 27, then he doesn't die there. It's hilarious to think that, right? But, like...
Yeah. It's like Axe doesn't get the level.
He doesn't get the levels, then Jug is free farm, then Jug is level 8, Axe is level 4, and then your Jug doesn't die there. This is how it is. Okay, moving on. So, the reason why I'm emphasizing the early game is because if you secure your cores the lane, you can then leave and do whatever you want. If you don't properly secure them the lane, meaning like, yeah, you gave them an advantage, but you didn't give them enough of an advantage, what heroes are stronger in general at this point in the game? The offlaner or the safe laner?
Safe laner.
The offlaner. Like, if they're both equally somewhat leveled, who's stronger? Sorry, that's probably a better way to describe it.
Oh, yeah, the offlaner.
The offlaner, right? So, if you leave them equally leveled, I guarantee you in 3K, it'll probably happen in my bracket too, but in 3K especially, your core is just gonna feed. Like, you're just gonna die at least once, at least once. So if you're in a 2v1, then you have to be able to leave him when he's like 3 levels ahead. You just have to. So you have to do it properly. And so the idea is, I don't mind that you left lane. Maybe he didn't have to die. Like, he could have maybe played it better. But the main emphasis I want to make is, whenever you're leaving lane, what's the main consideration that should come to mind after all the things I've said?
Will Jug be able to survive?
Yeah, will my carry be okay without me? Yeah. So whenever you're leaving lane to rotate, I'm not saying he shouldn't have died and you should have stayed top. That's not what I'm saying, actually. All I'm saying to you about this lesson in general is, ask yourself, what kills my carry, or like what could go wrong for my carry? Do I change that? Do I need to reset the lane before I go? Do I need to... Can I be gone forever? What I mean is, like, he's just fine without me. So you could... What does that mean? That means you can TP somewhere if he's fine without you. Do I need to be ready to counter-react to a gank? In which case, am I allowed to TP to another lane?
Yeah, no.
No, right? So these are the kind of decisions that, like, or the questions that guide, like, where I go. Like, if you heard me last night in my Slark game, I literally said, like, my tree, and I'm like, yeah, you can leave. I don't need you anymore. And then he just TP'd bottom immediately. He's like, okay, and he left. But, like, if I said, like, hey, I don't need you, but if they come top, I need you, then he should walk somewhere. Like, that's how it should go. Just thinking about things that way is really helpful. Like, thinking about your impact on your lane is super important. This is some shit.
Yeah, that's bad.
Yeah, I'm not gonna be... Okay, never mind. I was gonna mention the pull at 127 again, but it's fine. I was gonna be like, why is all this happening? It is all happening because the Axe is level 9. And this is why I said, even though Jug has 28 CS and Axe has 5, who's winning the lane?
Yeah,
the Axes, right?
Axe, yeah.
Because he should not have this amount. Because if you're 2v1, it's not necessarily just that he's getting that much out of the lane. If you're 2v1, one of your other lanes is 1v2. Right? So your other lanes are also losing. Or at least they should be. So it ends up going okay.
And then my Zeus just, I don't know.
Jug actually returns to this lane. I guess he can't go to Monkey King's lane. This is a rough Jug game. I wonder when he picked it. This is like a first pick Jug?
I can't remember, to be honest.
It's a terrible Jug game. I actually had Monkey King hard counter. Even Sniper's pretty good against Jug. Oh, okay. So when you're up at this lane, what are you accomplishing? I'm not saying you're wrong to be here. I'm asking, like, what are you thinking to yourself? Why are you here?
Just to protect Jug.
Just to relieve pressure, right? Like, you're protecting, you're trying to defend your tower, that kind of stuff. And so, just making sure at any time you're in the game, whenever you're in a lane, just ask yourself, why are you here? What are you trying to accomplish? That was some shit. Okay. Not much to say about that one. Okay. The fact that you haven't had dust all game is pretty sad, too. I feel like the mana boots were quite greedy. I feel like in this game I would have had, like, stick, windlace. Why windlace?
Movement speed. Just that extra little bit.
But why is it important in this game?
Can run to the other lane?
Until Axe has Blink, doesn't every single hero on their team rely on walking at you to kill you?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So, does that make move speed more valuable?
Yeah.
Okay, so I would have boots, windlace, stick, and dust. And maybe have some clarities in there if I need the mana. But thinking about it that way, right? How do I die? Look at their heroes. Windlace. You know what I mean? Like, am I going to buy a windlace on Jakiro every single game?
Pretty much.
No.
No.
I'm against 4 heroes that punish me for lack of movement speed. So I'm going to buy a windlace this game. Like, do you see what I'm saying, though? Like, I'm not trying to be smart. Like, it's literally like, it's the same thing on supports as it is on carries. Like, how do I die? What's my job in the game? How do I accomplish it? What do I need to do it better? And it's like, if I just have brown boots, like, no stick or anything like that, contesting the top lane is going to be much harder. And The only time I'll go arcane boots in a game like this is if I was buying all of these items and then randomly out of nowhere got 2 kills and had 900 gold. The difference is you got like a kill and had 900 gold, but you had saved up 500 gold and just not used it prior to that. So at that point that I'm talking about, you had 500 gold and brown boots, half of your net worth's sitting down here. And I think in support role, it's really important that doesn't happen. Except for the games that you have the luxury to do so, is how I look at it. If, like, there's no small item that'll actually change your ability to do anything, then you can afford to save up for bigger items. So in this game, Dust, does that not change the way you can play?
Yeah.
Right? Like, anytime you find Bounty Hunter, he actually just dies if you have any core next to you. That changes that aspect. If you have a stick, it allows you to, like, fight back at these, like, 4-on-4s, and you'll actually have enough mana, like, to do anything. And it also helps with the health. It's like, these items actually change the way you can play. If you're just, like, sitting in the lane farming with no contest because you secured your carry of the lane and nobody's fucking with you, then yeah, go mana boots, you know? Like, by all means, like, go with the luxury item that is ideal for you. But I know this may seem like a little bit, overwhelming, I guess. I'm mentioning all these little things about your item decisions. But I'm trying to emphasize the questions you ask yourself. How do I die? What am I trying to do? Like, what is my role in this game? So, I personally, this game, I think I would have gone Tranquils just because they have so much random shit that I'm probably going to tank damage in fights. Shrapnel, like, even just like a Monkey King stun, Axe Battle Hunger. I feel like I'm going to take a lot of damage. And if that's the case, what's your health usually going to look like?
Like that.
Yeah. And so it should have been Tranquils, right? And then in that case, I look at my Ricky's items. What item do I think should be on a support hero, or at least one hero on your team, every single game this patch?
Does? Oh, what is it? Yeah, I don't know.
Urn.
Oh,
I think Urn should be in every
valid.
single fucking game. Like, I don't think it's acceptable to be on a team comp without an Urn. Period. And so you have a Ricky, you look at his items, you see this? Tranquil's Urn. Urn gives you some mana regen. Right? Like, stop saving for these luxury items. Look at your slots. Where's Tranquil's Urn, Stick, Dust, Wards? You know, like, where is all the little stuff? Whenever I look at 3K carries, I see them just build Brown Boots Battle Fury randomly. Something like that. I'm like, dude, what about all the little things that could have made you slightly more powerful as you were going for the Battle Fury? You know what I mean? It's not always, but I see that's like the bracket where I see it happen a lot. Where I'm just like, you can't just go big item. You have to go a bunch of small items. Like, even, I mean, this guy even has the right idea. This is good. Do it from the support's perspective. Maybe it's just a stick. You know, it's detection. It's like I think if you and Ricky don't, at least one of you have sentries and or dust on you 100% of this game, I am like livid. Like, what is happening? How do you guys not have detection? I don't care that you have a Zeus. Like, then you're relying on Zeus to be at every single fight that you require in order to kill somebody. Or kill Bounty Hunter. Like, if Bounty Hunter has no... If Bounty Hunter is not fearful of counterplay, how is he going to play on the map?
Just freely.
Yeah, he just does whatever he wants. But if that Bounty Hunter realizes to himself that anytime he runs into you with any other hero on your team and he dies, how does that affect him?
Could you repeat that? I'm sorry.
If that Bounty Hunter realizes, based on your items like detection with sentries and dust, that if he walks into you with any other hero next to you, meaning like you have your Jug, your Ricky, your Bristle, your Zeus, that he's dead as shit, how does that change his game?
He has to play passively.
And so how does that affect the vision game for both teams?
Yeah, he can't give valuable vision. Yeah.
See what I'm saying? So, like, these little items are so impactful as a support. And, like I mentioned in my carry last session, his choice to go Aquila over phase boots was incredibly detrimental. He died because he did it. So it's like, for us, carries, it's the difference between maybe 1,000 gold item. For you supports, it's these, like, 200 gold items that make such a massive difference in the game. And it's really important that we get those items correct. I don't mind where you are on the map right now, I just don't like your items. For the most part, I see a lot of Jakiros, they go like 2 points dual breath, and then they either max Ice Path or Liquid Fire. I've played some Jakiro, and I just the general idea behind it, I think, is that, you know, it doubles in damage from level 1 to 2, so that's why they put the second point in dual breath. But then your other 2 abilities are like really useful. I think this game, I might have even maxed Ice Path. Why would I consider that?
This stun's just super valuable. Again, like you have like Sniper or Monkey King, who are just stalling him for a few seconds.
There's a lot of things that you need to counter initiate, whether that's Sniper hitting somebody, whether that's Monkey King jumping in, whether that's Pudge hooking somebody and then dismembering them, Axe Blink calling. There's actually a lot of stuff that you have to counter initiate. And how many stuns does your team have?
Oh shoot. The one, I guess, Zeus mini stun.
Yeah, Zeus mini stun from Bolt, right? So in this specific game, I look at my own team, I look at theirs, I think about how fights play out, how their team likes to operate. I look at our team, I say we have very little reach, very little catch, and I need to fix that. So usually I see 2 points dual breath and then max one or the other. When would you max Liquid Fire instead of Ice Path?
You want to push?
Yeah, when your team has a lot of disabled, but their problem is taking the tower after they kill people.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like,
yeah.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So the lower I go down in MMR, the less adjustments I see from game to game. I only emphasize, just for you and everyone else that watches my coaching sessions, why I think it's such a problem at 5K is that I feel like those players have fixed all the little things at that point in terms of like just mechanics and stuff, but they don't adjust. So now that's their issue. That's the real problem they have to fix. That does not mean that you can't start fixing that problem before your 5K. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
Okay, so we take the tower. So like I said, don't mind where you're playing. I see like the defensive Ice Path on yourself. Okay. So yeah, this is definitely something that I want you to understand. What you're doing is the equivalent of Brown Boots Battle Fury on a jug. Just make sure you understand how bad this looks to somebody like me.
Yeah.
Not to, yeah, like just to be clear that you need small items at all stages. Like, okay, here's how 5 position works. You're a team bitch, right? Like that's just how it is. You know, that doesn't mean you're a bitch in real life, but you're a team bitch. So everyone else comes before you. That's just how it is. That's just reality. So based on that, okay, at what point in the game can you buy items for yourself?
Just so happen to have gold.
Yes, when every other job that you need to accomplish for your team has been taken care of and you have some gold left over. That's how 5 position works. So, as long as your team has adamant wards and sentries to protect your cores from bounty hunter, and you have dust, then you're allowed to buy yourself some items. So maybe that'll put in perspective for you that instead of having that 900 gold for mana boots, you'll have 400 gold left, and you'll have to get real creative with that 400 gold. Okay, like a stick, maybe some raindrops. You know what I mean? Like, or a windlace. You'll have to get real creative rather than just buying big items. You know what I mean? That's how 5 position works. As carry, generally you have to put everyone above. You have to put yourself above everyone because that's actually the best way to play most of the time. In terms of item decision making, like you build items that allow you to play the game you want to play. As a support, you build items that allow the rest of your team to play the game they want to play. And then once you've taken care of that, then you can buy items for yourself. Okay, so let's see here. Okay. Yeah, I like the ward. You smoked with no dust. Hurts my feelings.
I know, I immediately realized that, and then still didn't buy dust.
Okay, so in the future, if you are against any Invis hero in the fucking game and you want to smoke, what needs to be in your inventory?
Dust.
Okay. At least a sentry. Maybe dust.
Yeah.
So, after this day, if you ever smoke against an Invis hero with no detection, you wasted your money on this coaching session, okay? Like, that is a Okay, I mean, people do that all the time in my games. And it's so bad! How fixable is that? Okay, how fixable is that, right? Like, that is so easy to just never do. So, like, let's just make that happen. So that's like another question you can ask yourself. Every time you're looking to smoke, do they have invis? What can go wrong when I smoke? So what's something to consider if you smoke at nighttime, and why?
Your lack of vision, and like if you're...
Okay, so what does that mean for you?
Yeah. I mean, vision's limited. I mean, just they can run away faster. Or
Do you know what the smoke break distance is?
No idea, actually.
It's about 1100. Just to give you an idea, it's like 1150, I think. It's about 1100. So why is that such a drastic difference between daytime and nighttime?
I can't remember nighttime vision, but I'm sure it's
800 on most heroes. Like Sniper has more, Slark has more, Lycan has more, and Luna has more. But on most heroes, it's 800. Okay, so if smoke breaks at 1100. And you have 1800 day vision and 800 night vision, how is that drastically different?
Yeah, you can't
see the people that break your smoke at nighttime. Yeah. So what do I need if I'm going to smoke at nighttime?
Vision?
A ward. So the minute my smoke breaks, I drop the ward. That's professional level shit that really ain't that hard, actually. Like, if we're going to smoke at nighttime, I need a ward. If smoke breaks, I place it. Period. Like, that's just how it is, right? Like, if that makes sense. That's so clean, right? That makes so much... Because at daytime, you don't necessarily need a ward to smoke, because you'll see the guy before your smoke breaks. So, you can just say, hey, we'll go on this guy. We see him, you know? So that's a little thing. But it's a big deal. Little thing, big deal. That's how supporting usually is. A bunch of little decisions that matter a lot. Do you see the fight going on bottom and you're going to push mid? I'm fine with this. Your hero's most used, like, whenever stuff's going on around the map as support, think about the most useful thing you can do. On Jakiro, that's pressuring towers. In certain games, and something that a lot of, like, basically no supports do, even the ones in my bracket, is if there's a lane that needs to be pushed, especially the dead lane, especially on a hero like Jakiro, and nobody on your team's hitting it, it's a great place for you to take farm. Why is that?
Yeah, it's kind of okay if you just died.
Yeah, because you're taking the most dangerous farm on the map. And by relieving pressure on the dead lane, how are you affecting your teammates?
Giving them more space.
You're allowing them to do other things. You're making it so none of them have to do it. Is that not the same idea? You're actually taking farm because nobody else wants to do it. You know what? We're going to show an example here. This game. So this guy's a decent player. If you haven't heard of him, his name's PPD. He was on EG for TI5, and they won the international. So he's now an international player this year as well. So we'll go ahead and watch him. What I'm talking about with this. This is something that may not apply to your game, but I want you to actually understand this. Because Jakiro's a hero that does this as well. We'll get there eventually. I don't know exactly what minute it's in, so we'll find it.
Yeah.
It's somewhere between 10 and 20. I guess I could fast. Look at his items, by the way.
Yeah.
I'm waiting till it gets there. So look at the enemy team off the top of your head. What hero on his team can farm the dead lane without dying to Axe Punch?
Is it Clockwork and Hook? I don't know.
And what is Clockwork showing on the map impact the other team? How does that impact the other team if Clockwork's showing on the map?
I mean, they know he's not there for a fight.
Isn't he like a big ganker, team fighter type hero?
Yeah.
So if your two heroes that can farm the dead lane are Clockwork or Crystal Maiden, who should do it?
Crystal Maiden.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're gonna see in a second here. This is not where the example yet. Oh, here it is. Starts now. Watch how PPD spends the next. I know they're ahead, okay? I know they're ahead. 99% of support players, even ones that are like 6.5K, would be fighting with their team right now. Okay? Just watch his next 10 minutes. And watch what happens. Dead. Let's keep fast forwarding. Goes back bottom. Gets a ward up to protect himself. Look at how much space he's creating. He's a 5 position Crystal Maiden. Dead. Global. Used. On a Crystal Maiden. Kill the axe for it. He's actually just took that farm for 4 minutes. Died twice. Forced the blink reveal from axe and a global on him as a 5. Is that not like insane game impact by dying? Okay? Like that's the point is like in the game you're in, I actually think farming the dead lane would be really important. But what happens is if your cores go there, you can maybe try to steer them away, but since you're in 3K they might just go there anyway. But if nobody's there in your game that I'm pulling up right now, whose job is it?
Mine.
Yours. And that's a question you need to ask yourself. Every single game. Misery does it a lot too. But he's not on a team right now. Sometimes the most impactful thing you can do as a support is farming the dead lane. Jakiro's one of the supports. That's the only reason I'm mentioning him right now. Jakiro's very good at this. I don't remember exactly what minute we're in. I'll recognize it when we get to the game. I think we're at like...
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, there it is.
Right about...
Oh, there it is.
I don't mind what you're doing here. It's good. On here a bit. I think you're seeing how impactful Maxed Ice Path could have been.
Huge, long stuns.
I mean, you're landing every Ice Path except for like one, and all of them have been helpful, so if they were just longer stuns, with lower cooldown. Okay, I guess I don't mind you farming this, there's nothing else to do. I was like, whenever I look at a support hitting neutrals, there better not be anything else to do on the map, otherwise I'm triggered. So I look back at that. Okay. So where's the most dangerous place on the map, and why, right now?
I guess... Bought 3 heroes, I thought there.
Why also, about bottom, that I talked about with my other player about Spectre dying?
Shoot, what did you say earlier? I don't remember.
It's the enemy team's objective. How do we know it's the enemy team's objective if they're going to take one? Are they going to take Roche with that lineup?
No.
Okay, based on lanes, it's the only tower they could possibly take.
Yeah, bots.
Okay, so that's analyzing lanes, analyzing Roche potential. We know that the only tower they could possibly take is bottom. So effectively, where's the most dangerous place on the map? Bottom. All we care about is knowing what their objectives are. So yeah, maybe your Jug is being a potato. He honestly should not be hitting that tower. This is really bad. But this is not a dangerous place on the map that you should be concerned about. If that makes sense. Like, nobody on your team should be here. So technically this is more dangerous than here. But nobody should even be here. So this is just bad. But that's not something you can do about, right? Like, just think about their objectives and what's dangerous to you. Okay. So my point is you shouldn't be here. You should be bottom. Because of what we just said about what PPD was doing on Crystal Maiden, right?
Right.
It's the same idea. Not only that, who's your primary D push?
Me. Or Zeus.
Or Zeus.
Yeah.
So, at what point would you not be concerned about pushing or de-pushing?
Lanes are pushed out.
If Zeus is doing it.
Oh, yeah.
And so, but when would you join the Zeus if he's already de-pushing? And if he's already de-pushing, are you going to nuke the wave?
No.
What's your purpose for being behind him when he's de-pushing?
Save him if they go on them?
Yeah, so where would you be position-wise?
In the back.
To do what?
Force staff him out or ice path him?
Yeah,
or...
ice path on top of him and force staff, right? Like, these are the kind of questions that make you get in the right place on the map. And if your bristleback wants to be that, like, wall that tries to de-push like he just was, you can do the same thing for him, right? Like, you can do the same thing where you sit behind him with a force staff. But do you see how I shouldn't have to tell you to not be here?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm saying this to you and everyone else why I'm in my games, and I'm like, where is my team? Why the fuck are they mid? Like, that's what I would be saying. I'd be like, if I'm this bristle and I die here, I'd literally be like, guys, I'm defending the tower, I'm doing my job, why is my Jakiro mid? Like, it's just bad. And I'm not saying that in a way of, like, to flame. It's literally, if you look at the map and you look at objectives, you'll know what the enemy team's doing. You just will. And it's not something you're going to suddenly have the same level of understanding as somebody who's played 9,000 games of Dota, right? That's not going to happen. But if you ask yourself, at least try to ask yourself where the enemy team's going to be based on their objectives. Honestly, as a 3K player, you can know if this lane's pushed out and this lane's pushed out, that if they're going to take an objective, it's here. Like, you know that. So if there's nothing else for you to do as a support, you should be at whatever objective there is. There's nothing more useful for you to do when you're just a 5-position support Jakiro. If you're like a Lion or something with a blink, okay, maybe you could be set up with the jug top and say if somebody comes top, we can kill them. You know what I mean? That's a little different. But, like, if you're in the defense mode, you're this D-push hero that is also responsible for clearing waves, then you should be at any objective that the enemy team is trying to take. And that's the part of the map that you should be on, is more importantly what I mean. So never be hesitant to fly yourself regen as support either. I think the amount of time I've seen you at low mana and even like half health is a travesty. Like, it just is really bad. When you look at really high level carry players, if you see the difference between me and like a 4K carry, like I'm using a 4K carry because that's about your MMR's support. The amount of time, like literally my session with the girl last week, she was about 4K, was about how she didn't have full mana on Medusa. And she lost the game because she didn't manage her mana on Medusa. Basically, how I look at it is, your net worth is 5,200. With this mana, your net worth is 1,300. And that's how you need to look at it. Your net worth is a fourth of what it is because you have a fourth mana. Okay? When she was a Medusa, she walked into a crucial team fight with like less than half mana. And I'm like, look at your net worth on the scale. She was like 20k and next highest was 15. And I'm like, that looks pretty good. But now imagine you're at 10. You know what I mean? Like, you just have half the effectiveness that you would. Obviously, it's not directly linear. It's probably, you're probably more like half the effectiveness with this mana than you would be otherwise. But, like, my point is, this, and this being at base is not a combination that should ever be allowed to happen in any role. Ever. Like, it can't. I've seen people at Euromamar, any role, they're just way too content not having full health and mana. Or at least as close to it as possible. In an ideal scenario, as you get better, if you watch really good players, it's just really decisive. I consider this the same idea as when my Ursa last session was just walking at top with no blink and just running around. You're just very inefficient with what you're doing. Like, if you're ferrying regen all the time, or like backing, like you're spending all of your mana to kill a wave and then TPing base and filling up, that's efficiency. That's like very decisive, very methodical execution of that, right? But this is more like just constantly lingering with no mana. Like that's what I look at it as. It's kind of just lingering. So right now, I'd be flying myself, because I don't already have it, Smoke, Dust, Sentry, Ward, 3 Clarities. That's what I'd be flying myself right now. It's like one of those things where I can kind of get mad at you for not buying Detection, but I literally had a 6K guy not buy Detection for me yesterday, so... Or maybe it was 2 days ago. So for whatever reason, you know, supports are content without buying Detection. It just doesn't matter what bracket you're in. So your Jug, it's on him to know that no matter who's behind him, he just dies to a Blink Call anyway. I personally wouldn't have gone Force Staff. I would have gone Yule's first. Why?
Oh, you spin the axe if he calls.
Yeah,
so they can't hurt.
Yeah, you use the axe if he calls, right? Because
yeah.
if you understand the Jug potential, like if you understand the Jug versus axe matchup, you'll know that Jug dies full to 0 in a call with Blade Mail, like, all game, right? Yeah. So the only way to fix that is by buying him a Yule's. And so if I'm this Jug, if I want to push a tower, what do I say to my Jakiro? Or anybody else on the team?
The Yules?
Yeah. And if I don't have a Yules on my team and I'm this Jug, am I ever hitting this tower?
No, you shouldn't.
Right? Exactly. Yeah. So this is like a mistake on 2 people's end. That Jug definitely did not consider what he needed in order to push that tower. So when your team's looking to push bottom, I don't mind that you're top, by the way. But your team's bottom, what do you think should differ between what you just did? If your team's bottom and you think you need to push top, I'm not going to get cute about it. You should walk there.
I would just walk there?
Yeah, please. Yeah, like it's a big deal. Any role. If your team's doing something else, even if nothing's going to happen for 40 seconds, what if they TP in on Pudge in 40 seconds and your team takes a 4-on-5 here? You can't be there.
Yeah.
You just can't be there, right? So if you look at their heroes and who's alive right now, did you need to be at this wave right this instant?
No.
No, you could afford to be there 15 seconds later. Could you not? Like,
yeah.
If you really think about it, you could have just walked there. Maybe you you're missing 2 creeps, maybe?
Yeah.
At the expense of not being able to show up to anything that potentially happens in the game. So the way I look at supporting, even any role, honestly, is when you look at this health and mana and then teleport status, you need to be available health and mana and teleport status as much percentage of the game as possible. And I would say in the last 15 minutes, you being full health, full mana with a teleport to be able to fight has actually been like 10%. If you really look back at it. Like the amount of times that you're able to show up to fights with full health, full mana, or at least really close to it, full capacity, like the ability to fully use your hero in a fight, has been maybe even 0%. It's been very low. And so I want you to think about the fact that you need to have teleport status and mana and health as often as humanly possible. And if you're not having health and mana and not a teleport scroll, that is because you looked at the map or you said to yourself, nothing is going to happen that needs me here. It's the same idea as the laning stage where I said, you know, the decision between whether or not you can TP to other lanes or just walk to other lanes, right? Like that was a matter of whether or not you would ever have to come back to your safe lane. And that's an understanding to have. At this point in the game, any time that you don't have a TP on you or full health, full mana, you are saying to me that you have no intention of anything going on in the game that you need to be a part of. So I would effectively say for the last 15 minutes, you've been telling me there's nothing important going on in this game. And I'm not trying to be a smart. That's basically, would you realize how that is interpreted to me, though, right? Like, like I always say, like, what people can tell me through virtue of their items and playstyle. And I look at this and say, I actually like what you're doing here, but you should be prepared to be somewhere else, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
I actually don't mind what you're doing with your hero. But now they're missing. What could you do here to relieve one more lane of pressure? And why do you have one more lane of pressure to relieve? That's possible.
You got macro fire? Or...
You saw this, so you know you have time for one more wave.
Oh, yeah.
You saw this, and you saw this. So you have time for one more wave. And then you get macro fire. Exactly. So as support, as carry, split pushing, going that one extra wave. Why is it even more important to do this in the dead lane than it is in any other lane?
Keep it pushed out.
Because it relieves
the pressure on
for your entire team, right? It's 30 seconds of pressure relieved for your entire team to cut this other wave. I would beg to differ that if you have buyback, it's worth dying for this if they 4-man, 5-man gank you. Like, if they commit a lot of heroes to killing you here, the only reason that it would be bad is if they took Roche off of it. So as long as you have buyback, fine, right? Like, that's actually how I look at it. I'm not saying to go die for waves all the time. I'm just saying that, like, theoretically, if you were to clear that wave, get 4-man ganked and die, and have buyback, I think it's actually okay. Especially because buybacks right now are so good. Like, you can just buy back pretty willy-nilly if you're a support. Like, they're so cheap for you and stuff. Okay. So this PUD should never be showing in lane, but, you know, it's 3K, so...
Yeah.
That's why you don't show in lane on gankers, guys. Thank you. What 2 heroes on their team should show in lane, ever?
Yeah, the Axe Monkey?
Axe?
Or... Oh, not Axe, sorry, Sniper.
Okay. Axe should
Axe
literally
has to
never
be able
show
to
in a
blink.
lane. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so, from all the things that I've said to you, right? So... The rule for support is to do whatever your team needs you to do, whether that's items, playstyle, everything else. So, if that's the rule for a support to do everything their team needs to do, what's the exception? I talk about rules and exceptions all the time. So what's the rule? If the rule is for you to always do whatever your team needs you to do, what's the exception?
Your team's being retarded?
When there's nothing your team needs you to do.
Yeah.
So, if there's nothing your team needs you to do, then what can you do as a support? Buy items, farm, whatever you need for yourself. But the rule is, you need to do whatever your team needs you to do. And then if that isn't applying, you can buy whatever you want or do whatever you want. Do you see what I'm saying here?
Yeah.
Okay, so what's Axe's role in the game?
Just to lock down, initiate.
Counter-initiate, initiate, pick off. So why is it really bad for him to show in lanes?
You know that initiation's not there.
So not only is he making it so you guys aren't scared of dying, but are you scared of ganking a sniper if the sniper's elsewhere?
Yeah.
Are you?
Yeah, I guess. No,
Axe,
no.
Yeah, no, you're
no,
not,
if
right?
Axe's not there, yeah, that's
So
fine.
when is Axe allowed to show in lanes? The rule is he's not allowed to show in lanes. What's the exception?
Team's dead.
When all 3 of those things are not needed.
Okay.
Counter initiation, initiation, and pick off. Whatever, like heroes are dead, whatever. All 3 of those things are not required of him at that given moment. Like, it's that simple. Like, when it comes to offlaners, supports, like, when you're a hero like Void in the carry role, it's like, if you have Chrono, for instance, like, the only time you're allowed to show with Chrono is when you being off map doesn't mean anything. Like, it just doesn't mean anything that the enemy can't see you. Like, it doesn't change the way they play. If Axe shows on map at any point in this game, same with Pudge, it changes the way you guys are allowed to play. Does it not? It does, right? Like,
yeah.
It changes. So that's the idea of this, and it's the same with supporting. It's the same across every role. Everyone has this responsibility to the game. So, like, you'll see me sometimes, like, on support farming, and I showed you PPD doing it, right? Like, he's just farming. He's like, there's nothing the team needs from me, so I'm going to go farm the most dangerous place on the map and be useful that way. And he just dies twice, but he's actually, like, winning the fucking game for his team. Like, if you looked at my Smurf game last night where I played Bristle, I was 0-1-1 in, like, a complete stomp. And I was incredibly impactful on the game, but nobody thinks about it. They're all just like, BSJ got carried. He's 0-1-1. I literally made my lane unapproachable. Like, they couldn't even show up in my lane. So, if I make my lane unapproachable, and the enemy team's behind, what does that mean for the rest of my team?
Just space.
It's space, and it eliminates a third of the map that the enemy team's on. So if we're looking for kills, doesn't that just make it really fucking obvious wherever they are?
Yeah.
Because they can't be where I am. So if I'm making this lane dead, like I'm on Radiant, and I'm playing this area, right? Where is the enemy team?
You gotta be mid or top.
They gotta be right here.
Yeah.
So my team, if they want kills, can just walk up and kill them. And if my team's scared of dying mid, where do they play? Like, where are they scared of the enemy coming from if mid lane's threatened? They're scared of them coming from top, right? Like, because that's the only place they can come from. They can't come from here because they can't be there. So, like, it makes my team's game, like, way easier to play. Like, so my point is, like, everyone in the game has an impact in some way of making it happen. The point is for you as a support is, how can you help your cores change the way they play? Taking the dangerous farm. Sitting behind the guy that is taking the dangerous farm. De-pushing the objective. Sitting behind the guy that is de-pushing the objective. Knowing you have a guy that wants to farm here. Giving him a ward. Buying dust so you can stop the bounty hunter from killing your carry. You know what I mean? Like, these are the things that you have to think about. And if you think about them, at least if you get them in hindsight, you'll get them next time. Right? Like, you'll get them the second time around. Maybe you won't get them right away. Like, when I was playing TA, right? I haven't played very... Like, I've played, like, 5 TA games in the last year. And I was playing TA, and I know conceptually what I'm supposed to be doing. But I don't have the mechanics or, like, the muscle memory aspect of TA. There were, like, 80 times in the middle of that first TA game I played where I'm like, wow, I could have done that better. Could have done that better. Oh, I should have done this. Oh, I should have done that. And it's like... Then the next time around, I hope I can catch at least 20 of those. So now it's 60, where I'm like, okay, I only do something terribly 60 times. And then next time, 40 or 30, or, you know, eventually you just want to keep lowering the amount of times where you're catching yourself doing something wrong. Like, that's the goal. From my perspective, because I feel like I have all the general stuff, for the most part, whenever I'm learning a hero, it's mainly just the hero. But for someone in your bracket... I think it's much more important to practice the general questions you have to ask yourself and play like 3 heroes. Like, so if you're a 5, it's even easier for you to do that because you can just first pick. So you can just play like Jakiro, Crystal Maiden, and whatever hero you really like playing third. Like, just play 3 heroes, right? And I only say Crystal Maiden because she's the most broken 5 right now. So, like, in any patch, I think one of your 3 heroes should be whatever 5 is broken, if that's the position you want to play. It's kind of like in this patch, I've been spamming a ton of Morana whenever I'm off lane. I'm trying to practice TA whenever I'm mid, because why? Those are the 2 most broken heroes in their respective roles, so I'm going to play them if I'm playing that role, because I want to learn that hero. And it's like in the carry role this patch, I've been playing a lot of heroes like Bloodseeker and stuff for practice to get better, because those are the heroes that are good. But for you... I want you to approach all these questions and general concepts from only like 3 heroes. And then what happens is if you get those general concepts down on your 3 like core heroes you want to play, then eventually you'll be able to apply the concepts to anybody. Like that's the goal. Like if you apply the whole buy detection, smoke from invis, and ward and shit, you should be able to do that on any support, like, right? Like, that shouldn't be something that you should have to relearn every time you play a new hero. But at the same time, if you're learning a new hero, while trying to learn all this stuff, you're going to be overwhelmed and just panic. I'm going to rewind a bit, so... let's see here. So what's your impact in fights, in general?
Just save if anybody needs it.
Okay. Counter initiation. Long range harass. Would you say that's fair?
Yeah.
How often should you be in the middle of the fight?
Never.
Okay. And nothing else to it, really.
Yeah. No. Yeah. It's.
This should never. You should be back here. You should throw out your nukes and then back up to here. Why? Like, do you back up to here, right? Because when your nukes are on cooldown, what's your usefulness?
0.
0. Maybe items, maybe a Yule's on axe or something, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you just wait here until your cooldowns are back up, and then you go back in range. Like, you want to be at hiding the max range that these take to, like, so whenever you're casting Dual Breath, try to be at max range. Whenever you're casting Ice Path, try to be as close to max range as possible. When everything's on cooldown, all you need to think is where you're supposed to be positioned in the fight. And so if you think to yourself going into a fight, I'm going to be max range for Dual Breath as much as possible, max range Ice Path, max range Macro Pyre, and whenever those are on cooldown, where do I want to be? And then you just don't walk into the enemy team and die. And this is all stuff that can be pre-calculated, like calculated before a fight happens. The only time really good players look really stupid is when they didn't think something was going to happen. Or when they didn't think about what they were supposed to do next. That's why, the reason why really good Dota players look really good is because they know what they're supposed to do next. So when it happens, they just do it. And they look really good. But when they look really stupid, it's because they weren't expecting whatever happened. Myself included. You want to consider me a good player, it's up to you. Okay, moving on. So you're going to defend this with Macro Pyre. Okay, so we're going to fast forward just a bit. We're going to wrap it up here in about 5-10 minutes.
Yeah, you good.
And, let's see. I don't mind the items, I just think they should have been in reverse order. Clear about that.
Yeah.
I don't think I've seen you have dust once this entire game, and it pains
That's,
me.
yeah.
It's just a sense of urgency. Realize for not... Okay, that 180 gold, at least in the early game, completely removes this hero from the game, and completely alters the way entire team can play. And maybe next time you'll never not buy that again. You know, like people just don't realize the impact that little items can have, or little things they do can have. It's like if I'm a Jug and you have Yule's first item, how does that impact me? This game. We already kind of touched on it a bit. If I'm Jug and you have Yule's, how does that impact me?
Oh, yeah, I can save him from the axe, yeah.
Yeah, so he's allowed to play places that he gets blink called Blade Meld, right? Like, but if I don't have that as Jug, and you don't have that item, I can't play anywhere that axe is missing. I can't show anywhere that axe is missing. So once I get Yule's, so we talked about the exception is that I can go farm and get my own items. But if I have Yule's, what's the rule?
Just play with the team.
Sit behind the Jug.
Yeah.
So when are the exceptions to that? Why do you have the Yule's?
Save the team.
Save the Jug from axe.
Yeah.
So when are you allowed to not be behind Jug?
When Jug's dead or axe is dead.
When Jug is not threatened by axe. Like,
yeah.
It can be because either of them is dead or because axe is showing top or something. So that even says, like, if I'm a Jakiro and I know my job is supposed to be to sit behind Jug, axe farming a lane allows the 5 position to farm. Does that make sense? Like, I'm just making sure everyone realizes the impact of a hero like axe showing in lanes. But okay, so Jug doesn't want to healing ward you or what? I died instantly. Fascinating. Okay, so we're back into Roche. Luckily, nobody else built a Shadow Blade, otherwise you'd be done for.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. Okay, I guess I don't hate it. Okay, you hated it.
I think at the time, like, the Jug was, like, spamming that we could still fight, and I was like, no, we really can't.
Yes, you
but
can, yeah, you can.
we can't.
So does Jug die to Sniper just right-clicking him when he's hitting the tower?
I can't.
Jug doesn't die.
No.
I don't know if you know that, but Jug can tank through Sniper shit. What's the only way Jug dies here?
The axe or hook.
Okay, yeah. So assuming he doesn't get hooked, it's axe, right? Can you counterplay that?
Yules and Force Staff?
Yeah. So you're allowed to push. But now that Monkey King's alive, I think it's too late. Well, I guess Bounty Hunter went fed, but I don't think that really changes anything.
Should get started.
Yeah, the minute Monkey King's alive, I would have backed. But before that... Okay, you got it. Nice. Okay, that was good. Okay. Fortunate. I think you're really noticing you wish you had Tranquils this game.
Mm-hmm. Just that heal.
And it's just understanding what their lineup does to you. It's all the little item decisions and the playstyle things that make games feel so much easier. If you do the little items and little playstyle decisions better than the opponent, games actually just feel so easy. And the fact is, these little item things is what's going to differ you between, like, little items, little things I've talked about this entire session. Those are the things that are going to differ you from these other 3K, 3.5K, 3.7K players or whatever. Because it's just like, at the end of the day, the lower you go in terms of MMR, the more often your opponents are going to mess up. So all that means is the less things you actually have to do correctly in order to win. In my bracket, a lot of games when I play, especially like really high tier pubs, it feels like if I make like one really crucial mistake, like one item choice or one really bad TP or something in the early to mid game, we just lose the game. Like, we actually just lose. But like, for instance, my Ursa that I coached, who's 5.8k, I felt like he made 10 inexcusable errors in the first 12 minutes of the game, and they were still 5k ahead once he got a blink and killed people. So it's just like, you still have a lot of room for error as you're climbing these MMRs. I'm emphasizing that I don't expect you to do all these little things I'm showing you correctly. I expect you to slowly but surely learn them, and if you slowly but surely learn them, you will slowly but surely climb. Or quickly learn them and quickly climb. You know, those are the two choices.
Yeah, from here I think it just snowballs
Yeah,
out.
that's kind of just game over. So yeah, we'll wrap up the session there. But 3.7k support player, Jakiro, just taking notes for myself when I put the coaching session on YouTube. Do you have any overarching questions about things I didn't answer or things I talked about that didn't make sense?
Is there any point in the game where or any point in the early stages of laning where you're not going to really pull, even if it's like when, I don't know. Like sometimes I question whether to pull or not because I think it'll like make it too close to tower. Or...
A lot about pulling is okay. So one factor is, can a hero CS under tower? A hero like Drow is much more unwilling to CS under tower, and why would it be like that?
Slow hit or slow attack animation.
It's not just. I'm not talking about the capability of actually killing the creep with gold. I'm talking about why would a creep wave going under tower against Drow be bad?
Just.
What's the difference between Drow and Weaver against an axe dual lane? Can you dive a Weaver?
Nah.
Can you dive a Drow?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I see.
Okay. So it's not about actually killing creeps under tower. It's about whether or not your carry can be dove by their heroes. Is when the tower matters. So first, what the tower matters when your carry can get dove. Secondly, it also matters like what the dynamic of the CSing in the lane is when you leave. So like, if you are there and that means your carry can free farm, and if you're actually over there pulling, that means he misses creeps, you shouldn't pull. Like, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So like, it's hard. I can't really think of like a specific situation, but you just have to ask yourself, like, if I'm there, what do I offer the carry, and does that drastically change things? And if it doesn't, then oftentimes that's when you should pull, because pulling will be way more impactful than you sitting there, right? Like, because if you sitting there isn't very impactful. You'd rather at least draw the off laner or the support away from your carry. If the first situation is true where I said the carry needs your help, then usually what you'll want to do is you'll want to like shove the lane into their tower. Say the lane equilibrium's out of control already and you want to pull for that reason, then shove it into their tower and then go pull. And that will make it so that your carry won't be missing any creeps while you're gone, if that makes sense. Because the creep wave that he would be missing normally will be underneath his own tower, and the creeps that would be killing it are dying. So he's not actually missing anything. Does that make sense? But like if it's like a double wave, and it's like outside of his tower, like it's like near the side shop or something, and you just leave, then and he can't farm without you there, he's gonna miss like the subsequent like 3 creep waves. Because he can't actually walk up. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay.
So that's something to keep in mind. Anything else?
I think that's about it.
Cool, man. Thanks for signing up. I hope you feel like you got a lot of this session and can apply it.
Yeah.
Make sure you watch the video back if you want to review anything. It'll be on YouTube in the next couple of days. And have a good one, man.
Thanks. You too. Yep.
Oh my god! I'm losing my shit!
Oh my god. I'm losing my shit. Hotla hotla XD haha a carrot feels good man clap.